You might not admit it, but if you're Sigma, you probably don't have many real friends. Ever wonder why? Especially when you know you're smart, capable, different. Society calls you distant, cold, broken. But what if your silence is your strength? What if the world mistook your clarity for something else? This isn't a diagnosis. It's a revelation. You are not broken. You are Sigma. And here's why. Did you know 60% of people can't go 10 minutes without lying? That's why trust comes slowly for you. You've seen the mask slip. You've been betrayed before, not by big betrayals, but by the little ones. The fake apology, the excuse that didn't add up. You learned the hard way. If someone lies about the small things, they'll lie about everything else too. You don't shut people out. You just guard the gate. You value truth, and truth is rare. You don't need proof. You feel it before the lie lands, the nervous laugh, the broken eye contact, the change in tone, just before it shifts. While others hear the words, you watch the weight they carry. You've learned to read the space between words. It's not paranoia, it's precision. So you disappear before the damage starts, because freedom is knowing when to walk away. You're not looking for fans. You're looking for resonance, not the loudest room, the realest one. You don't crave the crowd. You crave depth, stillness, truth. And when you find it, you never let it go. You've learned not to trust instant connections, because the faster they appear, the faster they disappear. You've been promised loyalty and left without explanation. You don't want someone who shows up fast. You want someone who stays. Time reveals truth, and you're patient enough to wait for it. You're not here to perform. You're here to build. Others chase applause. You chase mastery. Let them laugh. Let them doubt. You're not interested in convincing anyone. Your work speaks for itself, and the right people will hear it. You don't ask for much, but you expect one thing: loyalty. You've stood by people in silence, carried their burdens like your own, and when it wasn't returned, you didn't complain. You just let go. Your circle is small, but inside it, there's no room for betrayal. They call you mysterious because you don't overshare. You keep your thoughts close and your energy closer. Let them guess. Let them assume. Your silence isn't empty. It's layered. And if they want to know who you are, they'll have to earn it. You've seen how quickly peace can be shattered by people who thrive on chaos. You don't raise your voice. You raise your standards. Drama doesn't lure you in. It warns you away. You've wasted time on conflict before. Now you choose clarity over combat, distance over noise, not because you're weak, but because peace is power. You've stood in a room full of people and never felt more alone, because small talk feels smaller every time, and pretending to belong, it's exhausting. You don't seek isolation. You seek meaning. A single honest moment is worth more than 100 hollow ones. You don't avoid people. You avoid pretending. They think you're picky. They're right. You don't let just anyone into your life, because you've seen what happens when you do. You've learned to choose slowly, to listen more than you speak. Your time is currency. Your energy is sacred. And if someone can't respect that, they don't get access. You've always known you were different. Others just called it wrong. Too quiet, too intense, too much. But being misunderstood doesn't make you broken. It makes you rare. You weren't built to blend in. You were built to see what others miss. Let them call it weird. One day, they'll call it wisdom. You don't post for validation. You don't dress for attention. You don't speak to impress. You move in silence, not because you're afraid, but because you're free. You felt the trap of approval. It never satisfied you. Now, you chase truth, And that makes you untouchable. There were times you wanted to explain yourself, to defend, to fight back. But you've learned not everyone deserves an explanation. Sometimes silence wins. Because your energy isn't up for auction. You know what you stand for, and you don't need to shout it. The real ones already feel it. The rest never would. You never asked to lead, but you couldn't follow. You chose a different path, not for glory, but for truth. And somehow, others began to follow, not because you told them to, but because you walked with purpose. You didn't seek power. You found direction, and that's what they needed most. You were never broken. You were becoming. You are Sigma. If this spoke to something inside you, you're not alone. You don't need to fit the mold to matter. You just need to know who you are. This is wolves without masters, for those who walk alone, but never aimlessly. Drop a comment, and if you're ready, subscribe.